The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a platform and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. These Best You EXPO talks are recorded in front of a live audience in a live event. We highly recommend that you focus on the message. As they say, what you focus on expands. Enjoy. Gary Sinclair. The title of his talk is Neutralizing Negative Memories. Gary Sinclair is a leader in energy medicine, producing 100% results in neutralizing PTSD memories in seconds with no hint of failure. He is the CEO of Memory Energy Therapy Association and works to help people when EMDR, EFT, TFT, tapping and NLP are not able to help. Enjoy.
Welcome for coming. Absolutely bless you. Bless your heart to heart, my heart to yours, and love you to life. Because that's what I'm all about. I learned to become love living years ago, and because of it, my life changed completely. Now, if you haven't picked it up yet, there's a business card on the back chair. There's also literally like a one sheet that gives you information more about me. And of course, we have a booth here. So I want to make sure you come to the booth, because I've got people there that will actually work with you and show you how we actually neutralize any memory that bothers you. You'd have the ability to do that for yourself for the rest of your life. You can't imagine what it's like working with somebody who literally has gone through PTSD to the level that they've gone through PTSD and had them say to you, wow, it's totally changed. Can you imagine waking up every night for 61 years because what happened to you in 61 years was this thought came, this dream came, and you got a gun aimed at somebody's face and the gun goes off and their face just goes everywhere? And the thing about it is, even though the dream comes every night between 1 and 1:30, they don't wake up until the face is blown up. What we're going to talk about today is a process that literally I created because of what's gone on in that field, but it's for everybody. It's for anybody. It's for any memory structure that you have that literally bothers you that much. So in reality with him, it took me 40 seconds to do the piece that I'm going to show you today, and I do have somebody already who's volunteered. But at the end of that time, I said, as you think about the memory, drop down into the emotions and feelings and tell me, how are they at? It was wonderful to hear him say, I'm sorry, sir, I can't find the face. The face has been there for 61 years. PTSD has not really had an efficient process that actually works to neutralize memories to that degree. Do you realize that? There are a lot of people that have had things happen. We get to where the brain functions in a funny way. You can go through all day long and you've got all these thoughts that are going through your brain, and then all of a sudden something happens. And if you understand the way the brain functions, literally the amygdala inside your brain literally encodes that memory in such a way that no matter how hard you try, because it's working to protect you, you're going to remember that memory for the rest of your life. It's just amazing to me to talk to people and realize today there's finally help available, because it encodes it in such a way that literally it's going to repeat to be resolved, and most of the time it's going to repeat to be resolved at night. You know, we've got plenty of functions that go on in the brain. We think a thought, and that's what it is, it's a thought. But all of a sudden that thing happens that stirs us so much, we begin to sweat, we begin to panic, our breathing begins to change, and all of a sudden it encases itself in such a way that it creates what we call a trauma. And when that trauma is created, it can lock into your body in such a way that it doesn't matter how hard you try to neutralize it, it just doesn't go away. Does that make sense? Anybody got that type of thing that happens? So realize that it's powerful as far as what happens. I love it because of what we've done in the past. I've got somebody here who's going to demonstrate for you a specific memory, and what I did is I asked for a volunteer earlier, so she's actually volunteered. Now, she's not going to discuss her memory with me. Anybody here had therapy work? You go and talk to somebody, and by the time you finish talking about it, you think, oh my word, I wish I never had to talk about it. And then you do all the work, and in some cases, guess what happens? 20% of it fails. So what's happened to the person? Are they worse? Does that make sense? They're actually worse because of what's happened to the person. So here's what we're going to do. She's going to come up. I'm literally going to use the process that I created called Soul Link. It's patented. It's protected because I don't want it to become 50 other things. I want it to say exactly what it is. Because I'm here to tell you today, we've already worked with, hear what I'm about to say, over 15,000 people and stopped counting. You know what type of success we've had? 100%. Ooh. Can you imagine how that makes me feel? 15,000 people have talked about what would be their worst memory ever. And today we realize their life has changed forever. So that's why I created certification training, work that helps people to get to where we're doing what we're doing in this work. So do me a favor, give her a hand. Come on up, dear. And again, we just met. True, we just met. You're here with a booth, right?
I am.
What's your booth?
I took off my exhibitor badge.
What's your booth so they know?
Oh, no, it's okay. I have to keep that separate.
Oh, all right.
So.
Okay, good. So what's your name?
Gabriella.
Gabriella, and I'm Gary, so pleased to meet you, my dear.
Nice to meet you.
So
We're holding hands, guys.
Yeah, so what I need you to do, they're hot, aren't they?
They're warm,
the energy flows. Oh, boy, does the energy flow. And you'll understand why when you hear my story. So what I want you to understand is I want you to think about the memory. I don't want them to know a thing about it, and if you don't mind, I don't want to know a thing about it. Can you imagine what I just said? She's the one that needs the help, right? Does that make sense? Everybody? Good. Excellent. So here we go. She's going to think about the memory, and what I need is permission to touch your hands. You know I'm touching your hands? Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come and pick up this hand with your permission. I'm just going to sustain it and support it right here. I'm going to be rubbing your hands, which means I'm going to be activating all the energy meridians in your body. If you think about it, you have longitudinal meridians. They go from your little finger up to your brain, all the way down to your little toe. You've got a thumb, goes all the way up to brain, down to your little toe. In reality, we put them together like this. The thumb's the central cord down through your body. If we go to the other side, there are transverse meridians run all the way across. So right here is that whole gut level. So in reality, we're covering all the body rather than just one place in the body as we do what we're doing. So I'm going to use all the meridians. You don't have to worry about a thing about what I'm doing. Your only job is to think about that memory. So what I want you to do now is, again, think about the memory that you thought about a few minutes ago. Absolutely focus right into that memory, and when you're absolutely ready, the only thing you have to do is close your eyes. The rest of the work is my responsibility. And we'll know you're ready because we'll see you close your eyes. Yeah. Up to you.
Sure.
Yeah, when you're ready. Focus on the memory.
Oh,
and when you're totally ready, yeah, here we go. Beautiful. When you're totally ready, just close your eyes. Maintain your focus on that memory for me, please. Good. Absolutely excellent. Okay, now I'm going to come over and do the other hand, so I'm just going to switch. Maintain your focus on the memory for me, please. Now, is it really specific as far as what I'm doing? Absolutely, you can count on that. Now, just relax your hands. I want you to open your eyes and just look around the room. See the people that are in here? Good. Now do me a favor. Think about that memory, but I want you to drop right down into the emotions and feelings about that memory and check. Are they now neutral? It's okay if they're not. It just means we may have one little piece left to do. Are they now neutral?
I don't know.
I don't know. You know why? She can't find the emotions and feelings. Is that interesting? Realize what just took place. Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, come over and see me at booth 306 because I want to make sure you get a copy of the book.
I appreciate
The new one
that.
that says My Memory Makeover.
Okay.
Literally came out 2 days ago.
Oh, great.
So I want to make sure you get it. All right?
Thank
Bless
you,
you.
Gary.
Love you to life. Excellent. So, folks, here we are. This is the new book that just came out. It says My Memory Makeover 6 Ways because I've literally put in there some of it's from the field of NLP, some of it is things that I've developed. As simple as they are, they're not complicated. Anybody in here have children? Okay, let's do this. Have fun. Here we go. Do this. Everybody, take your thumb and rub it into your hand. Just rub it in. Can you feel the feeling of you rubbing? Now, don't put your fingernail because we don't want to make a hole. Just rub. Excellent. Now, switch. Do the other hand. Can you feel the feeling of you rubbing? Is that comfortable? Now, do me another feeling. If I had a ball that belonged to a child, or like a softball, and I threw it at you and you caught it, it would be round like that. Now, notice, I've got an inch of space between the tips of my fingers, an inch of space between the back of my fingers. Now, the reason why I want that, I don't want a football. I don't want a basketball. I want a softball. I want a child's ball. Because when it's in there with the same space, what's going to happen is as you slowly take your hands and move them apart and bring them back together, you're going to go, oh, ooh, I feel something. Can you feel something? Check it. See if you can feel it. You're having a feel-good party with yourself. How does that feel? Think about it. You have an energy field that goes around you based on all those meridians that I just used with her. You're feeling the energy field of you. So if we take memories, we scale them on a 1 to 10. 10 is the worst thing that could possibly happen in your life. In fact, 9 and 10 memories for some people, they change their life forever. 1 to 8, you somehow learn to live with it. And I know people that really, their 8 memories are really 10s to me because they learn, they just say, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to live through this, I'm going to survive. And they call the memory an 8. For me, it would be a 10, literally. So if we go from the 8 and slide down again, let's go down to like a 3 and a 4. Now, a 1, it's there, doesn't really bother you. A 3 to a 4 is a memory that you can think of, but when you think about that memory, you realize it still bothers you. Can everybody find a memory that's in the range of a 3 to 4? Seriously, find it, because I'm going to show you something that's going to go, oh my word, he's got something. This guy understands life in a whole different way, and then I'll explain to you why I know life in a whole different way. If you got the memory? Everybody ready? Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to demo the piece, and then you'll do it with me. I'm going to make it simple, the demo, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to think about a 3 to 4 memory. I'm going to look right into this space that you just created. Now, go ahead and keep your hands down. We'll do it together in a minute. You wait, we'll do it together. And as I think about the memory, I'm going to stare right into the center of this space. And then I'm going to take my hands apart and back together. But I'm going to maintain my thinking about that memory. Stare right into the space. Keep thinking only about that memory. Stare right into the space. I've done this 3 times now. On the 4th time, I'm going to keep thinking about the memory, staring right into the space. My hands are facing each other. Notice they're staying right there facing each other. I'm just going to move them all the way out here and let it go. And then I'm going to look around the room. Everybody ready? Think about your memory, 3 to 4 level memory. Just stay in the lower range, because I'm going to tell you, if you go to the higher range, there's more that's going to need to be done. So stay in the lower range. Think about your memory. Create your ball. Look right into the center. Right into the center. Keep your focus in the center. And here we go. Let's go slowly apart. And bring it back together. Let's do it again. Apart. And back together. Now again, make it a stretching movement. Don't just go flap, flap. Make it stretching. Here we go. 3rd time. Paying attention to the memory. Back together. Here we go on the 4th one. Keep your focus on the memory in the middle. Take your hands out and go all the way to the outside edges. And you get all the way to the outside edges, hands still facing, simply let it go. Now look around the room. You want something funny to look at? Look around the room. Think about it. Now think about that memory. But here's the key. Drop down into the emotions and feelings and check. Is that memory now neutral? Anybody here it's not neutral? Look at the room. There's not a hand going up. How difficult was that? Isn't that amazing? Do you know I have kids that were bullied in school that have now been taught this practice and they're no longer bullied in school? Why are they bullied? Life's an inside job. Life's a mere reflection of what's on the inside, and when that child learned that when I have that happen, I can do this and neutralize it. Wow. Think of where we're going now when we look at a whole new phase of energy. If you understand the field of NLP, I got a note this morning from Robert Dilts telling me that he loves the fact that where I'm going is like the next level of that style work. Because it is. It's an emotional intelligence. It's a level of change that we didn't understand, but I do. Anybody want to know why I understand it? Now, again, there's a page back there in the chair. Please pick it up in a business card. Make sure you come to booth 306 and see us, because I've got people there. You come with your worst memory ever, and they're going to neutralize it for you. If you need to talk to me, because we'll talk about the certification training that gets you to where you do that work. And guess what? Did you like that little piece? The one we just did? Okay, the next higher up goes for memory structure that would normally work. The teenagers love it. The one after that is where we get into the strongest memory level that we just talked about. And if you really love that, then I have a 2-day program called Restoration. And what Restoration does is you don't have to think about one memory at a time anymore. It does your entire life over 2 days. And I literally certify people to do that work in addition to everything else that we're doing. So let's go back up. Let's go back up and figure out why in the world would this guy do this type of thing today at the level that he's doing it with the understanding that it absolutely is going to work. I'm 73. Some of you discovered I'm a senior Olympic figure skating champion. That came in a little later in life, but I'll tell you. I was born with 2 lungs, just like you were. Probably. Except they were only 50% there. That made a little struggle in my early years, but at least I had the equivalent of a whole lung. I was severe asthmatic. I was allergic to trees, grass, plants, flowers. Would you like to know what I ate? I do remember it wasn't easy. My mother was always testing. Let's see if I can drink milk yet. It went down, it came up. It was like cottage cheese. So it wasn't an early life. However, my life continued, and at 22, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So here I am still, 2 lungs, 50% there. I now have multiple sclerosis. My body progressively is going into paralysis. At the end of 14 years, I'm in a wheelchair, and the only thing that moves on my body is this arm. I'm just waiting to die. I have a wife. I have 2 children. My oldest one is sitting right there. Okay. But yet the key is, this is where I'm at in life. I'm at a turning point of where the only thing I'm waiting for is to die. I can remember sitting in the wheelchair, and I used to scream at the ceiling and say, God, if you love me, you'd heal me. And I'd look back down and think, how terrible of God to leave me the way I am. I mean, this is terrible to realize what's going on in my life. And I never realized there was always a second voice that added into my statement. Let me say it to you the way I finally realized it came. Say, God, if you love me, you'd heal me. And if you loved yourself, you'd heal. Did you hear what I just said? I would scream at God, God, if you love me, you'd heal me. And the voice always answered back. And I heard it in my voice, but I wasn't the one thinking it. It came in as a thought, but I wasn't the one putting it there. And if you loved yourself, you'd heal. I still remember the day that, you're just waiting there. You're waiting to figure out what organ is going to go. You're already at a point where somebody says the floor's wet, and you take what you got in your good hand and you push it down and you realize you have to say, oh, I'm sorry, it's me. It's quite a way of life to realize you're on your way out. You've been doing it progressively for 14 years and you're going. And yet here I am, so I thought, why not? At least try it. Try loving what's wrong with you. See what happens. I'm going to tell you the rest of the story because here I am. 6 months later, I got feeling in the back of this leg right there for the first time in 14 years. I'm putting my finger right now on a spot that was like a light switch that hit the back of my leg. I could throw that switch and have feeling in that area of this leg for the first time in 14 years. Imagine what that felt like? That was 6 months out. I'm working with a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, a nutritionist, sports medicine doctor. I'm working with them all. I'm just still at the beginning stages of 6 months in.
Having promoted more than 600 speakers and more than 65,000 people attend my seminars and courses and workshops and expos, having read so many books and attended so many courses, I really realized that the basics of personal, professional growth is based on the power of the question. Asking yourself empowering questions. Read my new book, The Question, Find Your True Purpose. It's based on my work, 30 years of entrepreneurship, all the experiences that I have, my manifesto, and what's really important. So for more information, go to www.thequestion.co.
16 months later, here I am. Literally, the key is 16 months later, I can remember pushing on the arms of that wheelchair and standing up and realizing I'm not going to get back in it. I took it over to the side closet that was underneath where the stairs came down. I opened the doors and I pushed it in. It never came back out until somebody else needed it. Think about it. From 80% mobility loss, 80% physical mobility loss to full capacity, pretty much in a lot of ways in 16 months. Now, there were still things that needed to happen. Because I was born with 2 lungs, I had allergy shots. Anybody had allergy shots? I had them every 3 days. Think about it, 3 days for 36 years. Okay? I still wasn't over everything. I began to work with my legs. I decided if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get my legs back because they're working, they move, but they're not really stable and steady. Part of the reason why is I lost the balance mechanism on the left side of my head in the beginning, so 80% of my ability to know where upright was gone. If you put your feet together and put your arms out like that, you're stable and steady. Well, that was upright for me way back then. So it meant if I closed my eyes, Gary falls on the floor. So it was interesting. There were still things that I went through that progressively brought me back. But that's why on that sheet it said I started ice skating. I hired a coach. I wanted somebody to help train me how to know where upright was all the time. It was interesting. I'd spin. You see them spin? I'd feel the pressure in my fingertips, and I know by my fingertips whether it was in the center of the spin. I didn't know by what was in my head because it wasn't working yet right. I can still see the doctors say, now, Gary, you got to understand that's never going to come back. That is not humanly possible. Guess what they say today? Guess Gary's got it back. There's so many things about the body that I was told could not be done. And yet today I watch broken bones heal in minutes. I watch things take place based on the fact that I understand life as energy. I understand the decisions I made. The biggest decision I made was to love me to life. When somebody does that 2-day program called Restoration, they end up by noon of day one realizing they now recognize themselves as being love living rather than love seeking. You know what? That changes your life forever. It puts a whole new dimensional swing into who you are and where life is going with what it is that you're doing. So interesting, that took place. So here I am, I'm able to move and all, but guess what Gary has? Oh, I forgot. There'd been an industrial accident where they poured commercial strength bleach in a restaurant drain, and I was sitting nearby, so it damaged my lungs, so it took them 30 days in the hospital to get me breathing again because my lungs started bleeding immediately because commercial strength bleach is 100 times stronger than regular bleach. So because of that, I still had the lungs, but they're like 1/3 capacity. Well, again, I'm going to make a long story short because I believed in that power that's up there, and I believed that my lungs had to heal. I can still remember going to my doctor and saying, you got to give me something that's just going to do it. They've got to heal. I need to be able to breathe. I need to be able to use this life and do something with it. And it was great. He told me, you got to understand, there's nothing more we can do. But I got a message at 9 p.m. on a Friday night that when I took communion at church that Sunday, my lungs would heal. How do you like that one? I can still remember going to church. The senior pastor of the Missouri Lutheran Church in Charlotte, North Carolina, stood up and said, I got a message from God at 9 p.m. on Friday night that when people take communion today, their lungs are going to heal. 15 minutes later, Gary had a brand new set of lungs in his body. Think about it. 14 years of going through multiple sclerosis and 15 minutes of getting full, brand new, 1/3 lung capacity to full, complete set of tissue in there. I went back to that doctor on Tuesday. He listened with a stethoscope because he's ready to double my dosage of medication. Literally. My body's eating up the medication, the theophylline and all that I've been on for 36 years. And as he backs up and looks at me, he says, okay, Sinclair, out with it. What happened? And then he says, this we call a miracle. And I said, you're right. We call it a miracle. It made me begin to realize something's happening to me that it doesn't happen to the average person. Does that make sense? It really doesn't. How do I get to where I can explain to somebody else how to create this life, become this way of living, and change who you are forever? The biggest decision was to switch and become love living. Because the moment I became love living, then creative force through me is recognizing who I am, because I am what that creative force is. Does that make sense? So that's a big piece of decision that's worth making, because when you do, creative's on your side. So when you're in the womb at 8 weeks of age, there's a blip that shows up on the scan when they're doing a scan. But the way that blip works, it's only synchronistic with mother's heartbeat. At 9 weeks of age, mother's heart beats, and there's another heartbeat that's going on inside that body. It's separate. It's independent. It's you now having a life force inside of you as you're developing with this new life force inside of you, the reality of who you are. You know, you hear that statement, out of the heart flow the issues of life? They really do. I really began to understand that the heart was the base of who we are, and that around us is this field of energy we call a biofield. Does that make sense? Anybody know about the biofield, that field of energy? We only live and breathe and have our being and are able to do what we do because we have a field of energy in which we are living. I don't mean it to be funny, but I'm not my body. I'm the field of energy. You take that one away, this doesn't keep on going. It becomes dirt. Does that make sense? So if you understand the biofield, which is what I began to really work with, people like Bruce Lipton became close friends. There are a lot of people that have become close friends because I've become the living proof of the work that they've done to look at what's possible to do and heal. So knowing that that's what it was, this biofield, the way I created the new work is I took and understood the energy field is what we really want to be working in. So when you saw the demonstration of the piece with her, what I was really doing is I was taking her biofield of energy and magnifying it. Anybody know the work of Heart Math Institute? Fabulous group with all the work they've done. Absolutely fabulous. HeartMath.com. what they've done is they've proved that the biofield of the body is positive. When you're born, you have a field of energy around you that's positive. It's 5,000 times stronger than the brain field. The brain, in actuality, functions at 100, and really, energetically, it's a negative compared to the biofield of the body. So everything about you is at 5,000. The brain's functioning at 100. And in reality, it's there for the preservation of who you are, so it functions on a negative. So if we could actually take this field of energy and make this field of energy work in connection with where your memory structure is, then we'd create a change. Does that make sense? So what I did with her took roughly 40 seconds to do. And in that 40 seconds, that 5,000 times energy, each time her heart beat, it got stronger. Because we're holding the biofield of energy together through the simulation of what I'm doing. And as it got stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, it didn't matter what the brain's trying to hold on to. Even if the brain gets stronger and stronger, it's 100, 200, 300, right? Does that make sense? So because we're increasing the strength of the energy of the field itself is what's actually pulling the charge of the negative emotions and feelings out of the memory. The wonderful thing about it is, in the end, if that memory is detrimental to the ongoing health of who you are, it may be, in fact, a case of you not remembering the memory anymore. Think about it. Let me give you an example. I talked about the guy with the gun in the face. 40 seconds after he stood in front of a room near here, not like 2 years ago, he looked at his wife and he said, I can't find the face. Think of the power of what that means. Do you think after 61 years his life changed? Now, it isn't that everybody's going to have that type of memory. Somebody said to me earlier, if you go back and look at all the things that you've done, what would be the one that you remember the most? Now, here's the key. I don't know her story. You don't either. We have no idea what your memory was. Yet we love you because you demonstrated what was possible to do with what it is that we do. But we have no idea. I don't have any idea of most of the memories I've ever worked with. But when I did a demo with someone like this, I asked for a volunteer in the room, and the gal sitting right here goes, and I said, well, that was interesting. That's like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. She said, well, I've already heard your work doesn't fail, and I don't want to be your first failure. I said, oh, honey, I love you. Do me a favor. Will you allow me to have the opportunity to have my first failure and let you be the one? She agreed. She came up. I said, no, we don't want to know anything about it. We did the process. She's standing there. She's in tears while we start to do it. In the end, she's standing there giggling and laughing. Now, hear what I just said. She's standing there giggling and laughing. And she's like, I got to tell them. Oh, my, they've got to know. Please, please let me tell them. Please, please, please. She's 76 years of age. Think about it. At 3 years of age, her parents at the doctor's office, she heard the doctors say she's dying. Think about it. 3 years of age, the impression that she got was a verbiage of a doctor saying she's dying. Her parents, the day later, were going to go away for an extended weekend. When they went away for the extended weekend, they were going to take 2 other children with them, but they were going to leave her with Grandma. Now, this lady who's up here getting ready to demo, I'm going to tell you, she was a good-sized lady. Now, her impression at age 3, her impression was, my grandmother was a big woman. So I can't tell you the actual size. But what I know is this. They went to the home on Friday afternoon. She watched in the window. She went up and leaned on the windowsill and watched as her parents and her other 2 siblings went away for an extended weekend. On Monday morning, they found her at 4:30 in the afternoon. I said Monday morning, Monday afternoon at 4:30. When they came home, they found her. What had happened was she started to cry as they backed out of the driveway, so Grandma came over to give her a hug. Grandma died on top of her. When Grandma died on top of her, she went over backwards. The only thing was her face laid out sideways outside of Grandma, and no matter how hard she struggled, she never got out from under Grandmother until Monday afternoon. Think about it. How's that for memory? Think about it. She's 76 years old. For 73 years, she's lived with this memory. The following day, I got ready to speak, and I realized I see her coming, and she's like bouncing across the floor coming at me. She grabs me, she hugs me, and I said, easy, you're going to break my bones. Please, careful, careful. And then she finally backs up, and there's like a little hint of a tear in her eye. And she says, I have to tell you. This stuff gets me, folks, because I don't get the testimonies because we do the work with no content. Does that make sense? I don't want to get into content. She says, I have to tell you, I woke up last night during the night and realized, potentially for the first time in my life, I could have a friend. Think about it. 76 years of age, and she just realized I can have a friend. Why? Because at 3 years of age, the catastrophe did a job on her. And then as both eyes began to flow with water, she said, I have to tell you, about an hour later, I woke up again and realized for the first time in my life, I can possibly have a relationship. She grabbed me and hugged me again. She said, what do I do? What do I say? How do I help others understand what it is that you've done? I've gotten used to it. I've gotten used to knowing that the change is absolutely going to take place. And that's why I say we passed 15,000 people. I stopped counting towards the end of last year because I don't have the time to count. We're up to here with what this work is doing. They're expecting at this point in time that it potentially will win a Nobel Prize because there's nothing to compare. Every therapy, every piece that's out there has had a failure. It doesn't matter who comes to us. When we work with them, the end result of what we're getting leaves us absolutely stunned without needing to know what the memory is. That's phenomenal. Does that make sense? Good. Somebody else here got a memory that you realized for you you'd like to be up here and have me do that memory with you? Anybody in the room? Okay, and again, it's absolutely fine. Nobody has to. I asked her right at the very beginning if she'd like to do that. Just know the booth is at what? Is the booth on the next slide, Dan? No? Okay. The booth is 306. So when you go out of here, just go to the other side. When you first came in, the straight aisle right straight in, right in front of the coffee shop, vendor shop, right there. At the end of that aisle, we're right on the corner. And there are 2 other people there that have already started doing this work with other people at the success level that we're talking about. To look at where this program goes, this book is the first level. When you get to where you want to learn to do this, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to do a 2-day program called Restoration. That literally will take you to where there's no memory you can think of that bothers you. It takes you to a point where you recognize you in your life as being love living for the rest of your life. It is the most amazing thing to watch the transition that takes place of people in hours. It's a 2-day program. It's 2 days because the last 3 hours of that program does everything at an other than conscious level so that even that is all the way into embedded so you don't even know it's there, gets neutralized. Once you've done that, the second course yes, dear. How you volunteer? You come on up now. Keep talking. Love you. Bless you. Thank you. I love it because I know what's going to happen. You need to love it too. After that, there is a 3-day training that teaches you how to do that 2-day course. And right now in the globe, there's only 120 people that are actually trained to do that part of the work. Many of them are finalizing certification work that they do to be there. But you know what I love? I don't get any emails saying, oh, by the way, something didn't work. Can you imagine having a program where you don't get emails and somebody saying, oh, by the way, it didn't work? Oh, this is exciting. Truly, truly exciting.
If you're interested in speaking, exhibiting, or getting involved in the largest personal development expos in the world, contact us today at www.thebestyouexpo.com or send us an email to info@thebestyou.co.
Those that look at what's out there and know what's still needed to be out there, they realize this really is it. When you start getting email from leaders that are out there, leaders that have now talked to people that have gone to talk to them, it's thrilling. So, again, you say, you have it. Now, here's what the rules are. Your job is to only think about the memory. I want permission to touch your hands, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in, I'm going to pick up, okay, you can relax that one, I'm going to pick up this one. That's all I want to do. I want to make all the energy field of you, I want to make that whole biofield go at the same time. Does that make sense? How many of you have done the field of, let's say, anything in the field of tapping? So tapping's wonderful. You're tapping on a meridian in the field, right? Does that make sense? Okay. How about EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing? Excellent. Again, they're good works. I trained in them all. But my problem was, even with EMDR, I had a 20% failure. I felt worse when somebody left and I realized it didn't do what I needed it to. So when this got created, so there's no discussion, there's no content. We don't know her story, and you're not going to unless she tells you. If she gets the way she has to, maybe we can let her, but it's not necessary at all. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make everything that's going on in those programs work within seconds. So you ready? Maintain your focus on the memory only. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm going to do this hand. You'll know when I switch to the other one. Are you ready?
Okay.
When you are, just close those eyes. Excellent. Yeah. Now again, all the energy meridians, literally by tactile stimulation, are being activated in a specific way. There is something going on here that's very, very specific as to what it's doing. That's why the detail of it is all wrapped up in a patent that does it. The very last book that's on this case behind me that's got the green cover on it, that's the first medical peer review on 2,200 people doing this work for themselves to themselves. 95 out of 100 had complete success. 5 out of 100 needed to run the process again on the emotions and feelings that remained, and 2,200 people had 100% success. There's not a medical review out there anywhere on work like this that claims that success. Phenomenal. Bless you. Here we go. I'm switching to the other hand, okay? Maintain your focus on the memory. Beautiful. Okay, good. Drop your hand. And just go ahead and open your eyes and look around the room. Notice things you see in the room. Now, why do I make her notice things she sees in the room? So she stopped thinking about the memory, right? Because she still could be holding on to connective energy, but we want that energy to settle. It's like we have this framework around this terrible thing. We break open the framework. The negative charge that's in there comes out because we're only stimulating positive into it. That 5,000 that's there on each heartbeat, it just went up. It could have gone 5, 10, 15, 20. If it really takes 20 seconds to do it, and we don't know for sure, but we look at the magnification of that energy, it could go to 130,000 units of that positive energy just based on 20 seconds at 5,000 per heartbeat at 80 beats per minute makes it 27 heartbeats. So exponentially, the increase in the energy is what's ultimately doing and pulling the charge out. We've just never learned in our life that it's a possibility for us. So as you think about the memory down, do me a favor. Drop right down into the emotions and feelings and check. Are you now neutral? Beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bless you, bless you. Love you to life. And do come by and see me at the booth. Okay. Now, again, there is a one page out here that's sitting on the chair right over there. There's a business card that will connect you to the website. We prefer you come over to the booth because when you see you at the booth, they will do this piece of work to you. And when they do, they will give you a business card that will link into you getting the new book that just came out, My Memory Makeover. You'll get that book free of charge. Okay. Anybody have a quick question?
Can you explain,
Hey.
what do you mean by love living?
Love living?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was born with a heart that beats, I have a creator that loves me so much I'm still here. That creator in me that loves me that much loves me unconditionally. There's no strings attached. I don't even ask for it. I don't beg for it. It just keeps on going. And you know why I know it keeps on going? Because I've had more stuff happen to me. Ever heard of people who've had a stroke? 2 years ago, I had 14. I came out of each one within 30 minutes doing what this work is all about. The whole staff of that hospital was in awe. In 3 days, I had 14 strokes. 5 days on the 5th day, they couldn't find a reason they could keep me in the hospital because they did have no way to understand what took place, and I didn't go back and explain to them what I did until the following Friday. Blew their mind. Absolutely blew their mind. When we understand that this body is the energy that comes out of the beat of the heart. Heart stops, you're not here. Does that make sense? But now what we've learned is we've learned all about the meridians. You know, I put a needle in here. It's going to function one spot in my body. It's going to function the whole meridian. So we're actually now using all the meridians to make the work work. Now, you want a good one? How about the soldier who's lost both arms? What do you do to him? We do the ears. Does it work? Yes, because all the meridians are contained within the ears. I just got through training a reflexologist who was born as a thalidomide baby. He has an arm that goes to here with a little fingertip point. So he uses this hand and does reflexology on the feet of all of his patients and neutralizes PTSD level memories. Hallelujah. This is where this work is going to go. It's the understanding that I got of how the field of energy around you works. If we can connect up with it, whether we connect up with it through the hands, which is the best, because realize this is equivalent of 200 needle point here to do what this work is doing. So if we connect up with it there, that's the highest performance level that we're going to get. But it isn't about that. It's being able to connect into the biofield so that as we use that which already exists because of the heartbeat, between the field and the heart, what else is there? So we're really using the energy of Creator. And if we're really going to use the energy of Creator, aren't we using love to heal? I mean, think about it. I have no problem saying that. Because your heart stops beating, you're no longer here. And when you don't turn it on, turn it off, and you don't even have to ask for it, it happens on its own, somebody loves you enough for you to still be here. So here I am at 73. They did my blood work 6 months ago. My cholesterol is 0.2 of a point high, and they recommended I go on pills for my cholesterol. Do you know how often they change what's the required levels of cholesterol? That was like hearing a joke. Does that make sense? That's all I can really tell you. I mean, this is what life is all about. Anybody else with a question? Did that answer it for you? Because you exist because your heart beats. I'm taking the energy of that heart that's caused the field to be there, and I'm potentiating the energy of actual creation through you so that that which is the strongest that you have does the job of healing work. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anybody else? Quick question. Yes. Say that again. Which ones? The strokes? Uh-huh. Am I putting attention on the head? No, I'm using friction to create the connection with all the energy meridians so that the process and structure of what I'm doing connects to the heart energy and causes that to pull the negative emotions and feelings out of the memory. I mean, it really is. It's using all the energy that's in the body at once. Almost every therapy that's ever out there, anything anybody's ever gone to that's been a talk therapy in any way, we're dealing with a piece of the material at a time. I'm dealing with everything about that material, everything about that memory in seconds. When you learn and train and do this on your own, you're going to do it in 20 seconds. Hear what I just said, 20 seconds. When you learn to do it for other people and do it as a process of a work, training, working with others, you're going to do it in 40 seconds. Yes, dear.
If someone is dealing with a life-threatening illness, is it your belief that that's ultimately coming from some sort of suppressed negative experience?
I'm going to have to say yes to, and here's part of my reason why. I still remember going to the religious leaders of my church after healing from multiple sclerosis and telling them, my lungs are next. And they looked at me and said, Gary, don't blaspheme God. You got to understand, that's the way you were created. It was in their church that they watched me get brand new lungs in 15 minutes. We always have a part in it. There is always a part of who we are that represents and ties into what's ever going on. The key is, how do we get there? How do we learn that we have this body and we are in control of this body to that greater degree? I'm not a doctor, and because I'm not a doctor, there's a lot that I can't do. But I know people that I work with that are trained in my work, that work with others. I just couldn't from ear to ear. I know a hospital where they're using this work. They don't want me to talk about it because they don't want everybody calling them saying, how's it going? But I haven't heard one complaint in 2 years. I love it. Anybody else with another quick question? Yes, dear.
What if you have ailments but you don't know that it's related to some memory or...
Okay, if you heard what I just said, I'm not a doctor, so I can't deal in those areas. But the deal is, at the base of everything, there's always energy. There's nothing makes me more thrilled to be looking at somebody and have them say to them, do you love it? And they go, are you kidding? No, I don't love it. What do you mean love it? I've watched people learn to just love what's wrong with them, and 24 hours later, call on the phone and say, I got to tell you what's happening. I can't explain it, but let me tell you what's happening. If you are what the energy of your heart is, and it loves you unconditionally, why can't you love yourself? What prevents you from loving you? Does that make sense? It's a big shift and a big change, but that's why it's a 2-day course that goes through and cleans out all that so that memory structure gets taken care of. Okay. Dan, did we have a second slide on that? No? Okay, good. So again, I want you to come by the booth because I want to give you a ticket. I want somebody to do a memory for you, please. They're going to give you a card that will allow you to go on the web and get that book for free. Do you like that? Again, first style. Oh, the link's right there. If you want to take your phone out, take a picture of the link. I prefer you come to the booth because once you've had a memory neutralized, you're much more ready to go after the material that teaches you what it is. Anybody know the name Bruce Lipton? Bruce is a friend. I was the first person that was the proof to Bruce that what he was going to write in the biology of belief was what it was. He sent me the pencil draft of the book to try to approve it before I went out. My mistake was I marked it up and sent it back. But Bruce and I are friends. Leaders in the NLP community are coming after me and saying, Gary, you're the future of where it's all going to go. You're an energetic understanding of life as energy that takes us out of this. We get stuck up here because we're told this is it. No, this isn't it. This is it. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Does that make sense? Good. Excellent. Anybody else? I've got 56 seconds. Anybody with a quick question? Otherwise, please come and talk to me in the booth. We're here all day long. We want to work with you. I did the London show. That's why I'm here, or I wouldn't be here. Hear what I'm about to say. We did close to 700 memories in London in 2 days with the staff I had there. Not one failure. Sound like something you want to do? That's why this certification training for you to be able to do this with others. Consider it all the way through. You need the help? Come talk to us. We can set you up with 2-hour life-changing appointments where they can teach you this work as well, but they're only going to teach you the basic. You want your life changed? We'll teach you how to do that. You want to change other people's lives? Teach you how to do that too. The whole key is, I'm Gary Sinclair, and I am love living. And let me tell you, I love you. I love you to life. The whole world's loved us to death. It's time somebody love us to life. And where does it begin? Right here. I love me. I leak love all over the place. I go to bed at night. I do other things that I teach. And in seconds, I'm asleep. I don't lay awake. Bless you. Meet us at the booth. We're about to turn this off, and I'm going to give permission. Love you to life. Thank you.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.